So it's about 12, it's almost 2. So I guess let's start on time.
Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. We wait for every other person to join us. So good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
So this is more like a video recording of the experience of Ysdc 2020, how it was for you, basically your whole experience. So I'll be asking all of you on a series of questions one after the other, just to get a rounded knowledge from you all. So I'm going to start with Treasure Okure. Hi, Treasure.
Hi.
Please
Good
introduce yourself.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Kindly introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Treasure Kure. I'm a 300 level law student of the University of Lagos.
Thank you very much. So tell us, are you done?
I'm interested in the sustainable development goals, especially SDG 4 on quality education and gender equality.
Thank you very much. So tell us about your committee, your experience of the conference, the process, what it felt like.
Okay, so I was a member of the Quality Education Committee that was directed by Assumpta and Mayowa. It had about 15 members, I think, and it was a very fun experience. We discussed the role of technology in education, and we came up with ideas on how to help developing countries maximize the use of technology in schools. So, I don't know, should I continue?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so basically we were taught the design thinking method, which is a six stage program through which we were able to come up with ideas and develop our ideas. And we were told by the directors to send in our ideas, and then after that we were given our ideas were classified into 4 separate major ideas, and we were put in groups to develop those ideas. I helped develop 2 ideas, which was the idea of inclusion of digitalization and reorientation of teachers. And the second idea was on e-bags and e-libraries in schools. And I really, really enjoyed the experience because I was able to let go of a lot of timidity. I was able to make myself available to learn and to interact with the fellow committee members and come up with good solutions for the problems that we had seen, basically.
So thank you very much. So would you like to explain further on your solutions, like the solutions you worked on?
Okay, I'm going to focus on the second idea, which was the one I presented, which was on e-bags and e-libraries. Basically, in a lot of African countries or developing countries, internet connection is a big problem, right? And then coupled with the fact that we don't have a lot of physical libraries that can help students learn, we came up with this idea of creating a software that wouldn't require internet connection, whereby students could learn based on whatever was being taught to them at their different educational levels. And it would be tailored towards their country, towards the country's curriculum. And so we were 3 people in the group that formed that idea. And we talked about how we could use the UNICEF's initiative on open education and resources to develop that idea. We also talked about how we could create a team of STEM experts and students to help us, and we could get funding from government and non-governmental organizations as well. So because I grew up in Venezuela, I used a prototype I had seen, which was the Canaima, as an example of what we could achieve with that idea. And I also used Encarta Kids, which is a program I grew up learning with, to basically use as a prototype or use as an example of through which we could develop that idea as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So to you, do you think the YSDC was impactful for you?
I think it was. I think it's very unique in the sense that we were basically able to talk about things that we could relate to as individuals. Usually with other MUNs or MUN simulations, you're representing different country. But in this one, you could talk about things that you could understand as an individual in the society, and you could basically brainstorm and think about solutions that you could prefer to those problems. So I felt like it was very impactful, and then it helped me basically broaden my horizons. I was able to interact more with people and to come up with solutions with them as well. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Trevor. So on the final note, what is the one thing you take away? What is the one thing you start doing that you learned during the conference? The one takeaway from the conference.
Okay, I don't know if basically be innovative and apply yourself, because at a stage in the conference, I had to think out of the box and act quickly because there were some technical difficulties that arose. And I feel like that was something that was related to basically what we're doing. We're talking about thinking outside the box and providing solutions. So thinking outside the box at that moment really was really.
Thank you very
Hello?
much. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. So moving on to our
Thank you.
next. Thank you. So moving on next to Chidima. So Chidima, hi, kindly introduce yourself. You're on mute. You haven't unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chidma Onyechi. I'm a 400 level student of sociology at the University of Ibadan.
Okay, thank you very much. So tell us about your committee, your experience of the conference, the process, what it felt like, everything to you.
Okay, I was placed in the Committee of Renewable Energy and Clean Energy and Renewable Resources. And in this committee was headed by Livingstone and Hikma. And I like the fact that they made the committee very comfortable. Like, I'm a shy person, but I was able to bring myself up to present for my committee. And then in the committee, we divided our ideas into four: solar, biogas, sensitization, and finances. And these four ideas were streamlined into two basic ideas: financing and sensitization. So basically what we came up with was, first, we have to be able to get funds to create opportunities for these rural areas to come out, let's say, come out of their dying stage. But then, based on what we brought up, most of our options were the government should do this, the government should do that. But then, based on the what I should call it,
Comments
based
from
on the
you.
comments that were given, we have to come up with other ideas that doesn't just help the government. We have to look at ourselves that, okay, what can I do to help these rural areas? So I would say that as a person, me personally, I would have to think of ways to help these rural areas. I can't just rely on the government, especially in Nigeria, that our government is not exactly useful. But okay, I don't say useful. They're useful, but they're not useful to the people. Most of these government officials are only worried about themselves. So if every youth in Nigeria should actually think of ways to develop themselves and develop rural areas, we won't always have to rely on government for funds or rely on government to do these things for us. And I really enjoyed this conference because it brought me to a group where I didn't know anybody, and had to interact with these people. We came together, we developed ideas, and then the conference is very good because every youth that was involved has come up with an idea. So it doesn't leave anybody behind. You have to be able to think of at least four things that you feel would be useful to the people around you.
Thank you very much. I basically answered all my questions I had for you. Talked about your solutions and the impact of YCC on you. So, on the final note, what is the one thing you take away from this conference? What is one thing you learned from the conference?
Okay, the conference taught me that I can't just be selfish-minded. Like the fact that, okay, I may be comfortable, the people around me may be comfortable, but then there are parts of Nigeria that people have not, they don't even have up to 1% of what I enjoy right now. So it has helped me to be, what's the word? To be thoughtful. Like I have to make sure that everybody in Nigeria has a certain advantage to a general level, and I can't just, everybody has to at least have some things that they enjoy. So it has taught me to be useful to my general community.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
So moving on to our next speaker, um, Itu Kowo Utopia. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name, but yes, over to you. Kindly introduce yourself. You're on mute. You haven't unmuted yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Can we all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, my name is Tofia Etowo Augustine, and I was under the Gender Equality Committee for the Ysdc.
So kindly tell us about your experience, what it was like for you, what you learned, basically everything about the conference.
Well, the conference was quite amazing. I had attended an MUN recently, which was virtual, and honestly, it was not it at all. It was quite horrible. So I was quite skeptical about attending this one because it was still online. But my friend told me that I should give it a try, and I did, and I was not disappointed. You know, it was everything was well structured. I like the fact that certain parts were done online. Then at other times we had to move to the WhatsApp group chat and stuff, and then people really listen to instructions by muting their mics and all of that. Another thing is I learned a lot. I learned a lot. You know, I got to meet a lot of new people, got to interact with people, got to hear what other people think about gender equality and everything. And it was a very beautiful conference, to be honest.
Thank you so much. So will you kindly tell us about your solutions?
Okay, in my committee, we came up with two solutions. One was the creation of an NGO to force to advocate and to help out girls who are out of school in Nigeria because Nigeria is among the top three countries with the most girls out of school. So we decided that we'll create an NGO that will be youth driven. Um, it would it would help out in scholarships, paying of school fees, fundraising, and all that. And also to be run through ambassadors, which led to our second idea, which was to create gender equality ambassadors. These are people who would, in every way, in every aspect of their life, advocate for gender equality.
Well, thank you very much. So how impactful was YSDC to you?
You said?
How impactful was YSDC to you?
Oh yeah, it was very impactful. It was like I said earlier. I learned a lot of things. I learned how other people of my age are dealing with gender equality, and I got to listen to how they think we should solve it.
I just have to ask you this question. This is not on my list, but as a guy in
Okay.
gender equality, how did that make you feel in that community? Because we have the feminist movement, we have everything about it, but being a guy in that community, how exactly that make you feel? Speaking about gender equality.
Uh, well, first of all, I'm a very open-minded person. So, and right from time, I've always tried to not be gender biased about anything. Also, I have a lot of female friends, and then I hear them talk about these things a lot. I have friends in my department who are girls, and I'm in computer science, so you know majority is populated by guys, and then the girls they always pour out their feelings of how they feel. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? How they feel down and they don't belong in the department and stuff like that. So I've been exposed to these feelings, and then I'm one person who they're my friends, so I have to do what I have to do to help them. And on a general scale, you know, right from time when I first heard about the SDGs, I looked around all the SDGs and I said, which one, which one should I pick? Which one could I advocate for? Which one touches me? And it was gender equality that just did it. And ever since then, I've been advocating for gender equality.
Thank you very much. So on a final note, what is the one thing you take away from the conference? What is one thing you learned from the conference that you will start doing after?
The one thing I learned from the conference, just like at the closing ceremony, which the speaker said was one, we should definitely stop relying on the government for a lot of things. You know, we need to take things by ourselves. We need to own up to our ideas. We need to be ourselves, and as youths we need to we need to rise up together and face the challenges that come in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're
So
welcome.
moving
Thank you.
on to our next speaker. So Ugo, Ude, Anna, you're up next.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Kindly introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm De Uko Anna. I'm a 100 level student of English at the University of Lagos. I was a member of the Climate Action Committee, Ysdc 2020.
Thank you. So kindly tell us about your experience in the conference, what you learned.
Okay, so YSDC was, in my words to someone, I said laid back. Not laid back like in a negative way, but having just attended an MUN where you have to represent another country, you have to use impersonal pronouns and everything, YSDC was comfortable. The directors were patient, very patient. They made sure everybody participated. Even when some people refused to speak, they would make a list and then add you to the list and ask for your opinion. So it was interesting.
Thank you so much. So can you tell us about your solutions in the conference?
Okay, being in climate action, we're asked to find out ways on how sustainable agriculture be used to help, like to help climate action. And then for the first time, I actually paid attention to things around me. So we looked at things like, okay, so the world is being affected by climate change. We get a lot of rainfall when it's supposed to be dry, and a lot of dryness when it's supposed to rain. So one of the solutions was finding ways to provide food. Since it's sustainable agriculture and we're supposed to get food for the next generation while fighting climate change, we found ways to, for example, in places that are completely flooded, while we are looking for ways to fight climate change, why not plant things there? Things like rice, things that grow in water, things that grow in snow. So when you have a lot of snow in places that are usually dry, how do you provide food for people and things like that? And then we talked about harnessing energy, using food waste to produce biogases for energy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So how impactful was YSDC to you?
YSDC was impactful. I like for one how much sales the directed statement, and maybe you spoke for about 3 minutes at length and then somebody would pick something very little. So I liked the fact that everybody was listening, and I think I took that away. So from now on, I think when people are making intelligent discussions, I'll pay attention to details because they help build arguments.
Thank you so much. So on a final note, what is the one thing you start doing based on the conference? I learned during the conference, your takeaway from the conference?
Okay, one thing I've learned to do is put things in perspective. So instead of saying 50% of the world's population is going to face hunger in the next 20 to 30 years because of bush burning or things like that, I've learned to put it in perspective. You say things like you have about 200 million babies die because of heat spells. The thing is, when you mention it using percentages, people do not understand. You have to point out how important, how deep these things are. And for one, I'm going to take action to reduce my use of plastic, to make sure I upcycle things so we don't have to dispose a lot of waste around. And then I would make it a point of duty to tell people about how much their activities affect the climate and the environment around us and what they would be in the next 20 to 30 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you.
Moving on to our next person, we have Delo Ruth.
Hello, good
Hi,
afternoon.
good afternoon. Can you kindly introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Belarus of 400 level of students at the University of Lagos.
Thank you. So can you tell us about your committee, your experience in the conference, what you learned, the process?
Okay, I was in the no poverty committee. I was in the no poverty committee. Basically, I've participated in few MUNs during the lockdown and all. But then YSDC was quite different from the others because the directors were very accommodating. Like they explained everything, even down to little questions. They made sure everybody participated. Down to okay, what did I just say? And can you explain what I was trying to say? They will call everybody, anybody from the conference, and they made sure everybody had something to say. And it was very impactful. And I found that low poverty basically stresses upon other SDGs as well. So the fulfillment of the fact that there will be no poverty will touch upon the other SDGs at the same time. And okay, our committee focused on that no poverty focused on inclusive education and bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. So we had to come up with several ideas. Everybody has to come up with solutions, and we made sure our solution was one that would be accommodating, taking into our society and our country as it is. So I focused on out of the six ideas we came up with, we streamlined two, which was creating awareness and government policy. But then government policy, yes, we had to add others together. But then creating awareness was where I focused mainly on. I had to come up with a prototype. For the first time, I used PowerPoint. I had to join everybody's idea together. We focused on creating awareness to people on the importance of one vocational education. I found out that people they put it aside. Let me put it that way. They believe that okay, people cannot succeed from learning skills, forgetting that okay, entrepreneurship skills is like the major game right now. We focused on creating awareness to them, and then how to create this awareness. We streamlined our ideas to public awareness. That's like through radio stations, television stations, or going to the society through talking to people. One-on-one discussion can also be a way of creating awareness on the importance of education down to children, down to vocational studies and what have you. That's basically what we focused on.
Thank you so much. I've already talked about your solution. So moving on, how impactful was Wise Listen to you?
YSDC was very impactful because I got to learn about the SDG goals. I've had an encounter with Goal 5. Yes, I've done like 3 MUN on SDG 5. But then SDG 1 it was very, very impactful. I learned about how far this no poverty is and inclusive education. Basically, it was really nice, and the directors they were very, very nice as well.
Thank you very much. So on the final note, what is the one thing you take away from the conference? The one thing you will start doing because of the conference?
Oh, because of the conference, yeah, I picked something from the closing ceremony. It was where someone talked of us owning up to our prototypes, owning up to our ideas, so we don't have to wait for us stating that NGOs, societies need to do this, need to do that. So it can start from us, it can start from me, from you, from everyone here, telling other people like if we don't have to basically go down to gatherings, gather everyone together and talk. We can just start from our various platforms like our WhatsApp group, our mothers, the ones that stay near our street, the ones that stay in our street, the ones that their children are not doing anything. You can go down to and explain to them the importance of vocational skills. Okay, I know someone that, for example, I know someone that makes soap. I could bring the person to come and teach maybe the youth or the children in the church or in the streets, just teaching them how to be useful to themselves. So change can start with me, not necessarily the government or NGOs. So that's the major thing I know I picked from the conference.
Thank you so much. So moving on to our final speaker for today, Marvelous Alonge.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Can you kindly introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you very much. I am Marvelous Alunge, a 500 level student, Faculty of Law, University of Lagos.
Okay, so tell us about your committee, your experience, what you learned, how the process was for you.
Okay, so I was in the committee of Zero Hunger and Good Health and Well-being. That's goal 2 and 3 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So at first, I didn't want to be in the committee, to be very honest. I mean, I picked quality education as my first choice, and I kept, okay, zero hunger as second choice, because I had more focus with quality education from other projects I had worked on. But coming into accepting the committee and then coming into the Ysdc conference and reading the background guide, I must say that I've had a very amazing experience. Honestly, my director and deputy director, they were amazing, totally, because it was not something that had really caught my fancy before now. But going through the background guide and seeing the possibilities in providing food for people, not just going door to door doing charity work and giving them packs of Indomie or anything, but actually going down to the source of food, which is agriculture, and then, enhancing agriculture in our country, especially Nigeria, and realizing that this food could actually be transported if there is good road to other sources where it is needed. For example, like in the northern states, that tomatoes and pepper are like the major, they are scarce in somewhere like Lagos because, okay, most of them perish on the way, and then they have to increase their cost price because of transport and everything, so they could make gain at least. We realized that if the roads were in order, if transports were okay, if and they had good fertilizers, good farming implements to enhance their farming culture over there, then things would be easier. We would not have scarcity like we have now, and then food would be enough for everybody. So that's for zero hunger. And then in the community, we also linked zero hunger with healthy diet, because it was goals 2 and 3. So it was amazing. Like, it's not like we didn't know it before, but then it came in a new way to us that actually good health and zero hunger go hand in hand. And this really depicted the interconnectivity of the SDG goals as a whole. So we realized that, okay, if people can eat good food, not just any kind of food, but if they understand the basics of nutrition and diet, and they eat well, they could also have good health. We understand that, yes, good health could also be as a result of a good hospital facilities and the rest of that. But a major source of good health is actually what we take into our bodies. And so our directors did a great job explaining that to us. The video was excellent. Like, I had to sit there and think about, oh wow, okay, this is deep. So I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the conference. And then we came up with prototypes. So basically, the investment and sensitization. However, during the conference, we got to realize that, okay, most of our plans were government based. And so when the guest speakers were giving their comments, it really hit me like, okay, so we could actually do this ourselves. I mean, we don't have to wait for the government to provide silos, complexes, or warehouses for us to store our goods. We could, build a local warehouse in rural areas where they could store food. We could, the road, honestly, I don't know, we could just join hands with probably SDGs volunteers. We could join hands with foundations, and and try to do something about the road, do something about local health facilities, do something about their storage facilities and farming implements and the rest of them. And so yes, it opened me a lot to ways that we can actually be involved. Like one of the speakers said, own your prototype. So after our brilliant ideas on investments, go and meet the government, they should do this and do that, they should assign budget for culture, they should do all of those things, we actually came to understand that we could actually start something ourselves. So it was very impactful for me.
Thank you very much. I even have a comment to make in regards to that you want zero hunger in the first place, because I got to realize that some people did not get the committee's the intention they actually wanted. And seeing that all of you here are actually outstanding, you guys won the outstanding participation award. So it goes to show that once you are put in a committee, just do your best, like what Marvelous did, and it's going to work out for you. So going to the impact assessment, how impactful was YSDC to you?
Okay, yes, it was very, very impactful. I would say very, very impactful. I got to learn more about goals 2 and 3. So it taught me something that I shouldn't just be focused on, okay, passion comes in different ways. Okay, I'm all about education and everything. But I realized that if I had not come open-minded, I would probably not have gained what I gained. But yes, open-mindedness is very, very essential when going for conferences like this, because you get to unlearn, learn, and relearn. So I'm really glad I opened my mind to actually accept and learn about these goals. And I'm really grateful that I took up the opportunity in the first place and not just give up on it here. So it was very, very impactful.
Thank you so much. So to the final question, what is the one thing you start doing as a result of the conference henceforth?
Okay, what would I start doing?
Yes, as a result of the conference henceforth. The one thing.
Okay, one thing, implementing projects relating to goals 2 and 3. Yes, definitely. I'm working on a project, so
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, for gracing us with your presence. And once again, I want to say congratulations to you all for, first of all, participating in the Ysdc 2020 conference and also winning outstanding participation. So thank you also so much. So you can now leave the call. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend ahead.
thank
All
you
right,
very
thank
much.
you. Have a great week too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.